Chapter 1. The Vanishing. The morning sun pierced through the dense canopy of Amazonian foliage, casting dappled shadows on the weathered walls of the outpost where Dr. Cassandra Drake made her final preparations. Amidst crates of supplies and stacks of weathered maps, Dr. Drake moved with purpose, her tall figure silhouetted against the backdrop of the verdant jungle beyond. Dr. Drake was renowned in academic circles for her daring expeditions and groundbreaking discoveries. Her dark hair, streaked with threads of silver, was pulled back in a practical bun, framing a face weathered by years spent under the relentless suns of distant lands. She possessed an unwavering determination that had led her to uncover artifacts and civilizations thought lost to time. At her side stood Professor Gabriel Shaw, her trusted colleague and mentor. Professor Shaw was a man of refined intellect, his glasses perched precariously on the bridge of his nose as he pored over ancient texts and manuscripts spread across a makeshift table. His sharp eyes darted between the documents and the woman who had become both his protege and partner in discovery. "Are you certain about this, Cassandra?" Professor Shaw asked, his voice tinged with a mixture of admiration and concern. Dr. Drake paused, her fingers tracing the faded symbols etched into a shard of pottery. "As certain as one can be in our line of work, Gabriel," she replied with a hint of a smile. "These clues, they lead to something monumental. I can feel it." The professor nodded thoughtfully, his fingers drumming lightly on the worn leather of his journal. He understood Dr. Drake's passion all too well. It was a fire that burned within them both, driving them deeper into the mysteries of civilizations lost and forgotten. Meanwhile, Elena Vasquez, their local guide, stood nearby, a silent observer to the exchange. Her dark eyes, filled with a mixture of respect and wariness, scanned the perimeter of the outpost. Elena was a woman of the jungle, her movements fluid and sure, a stark contrast to the cautious curiosity of the academic she now accompanied. "We should be ready to depart within the hour," Dr. Drake announced, her gaze sweeping over the assembled group. "Pack only the essentials. We travel light and swift." Elena nodded, her expression unreadable as she secured her machete at her side. Her initial skepticism about outsiders had softened somewhat since meeting Dr. Drake and Professor Shaw, but a lingering wariness remained, born of years spent navigating the treacherous terrain of Amazonia. As the morning progressed, the outpost buzzed with a controlled frenzy of activity. Supplies were checked and double-checked, maps were folded and refolded, and the final preparations for departure were meticulously executed. The air was thick with the scent of anticipation mingled with the earthy aroma of damp soil and ancient vegetation. By midday, the team was ready. Dr. Drake, Professor Shaw, and Elena stood at the edge of the outpost, their expressions resolute beneath the canopy of broad-leaved trees that stretched endlessly into the horizon. A sense of excitement tinged with apprehension hung in the air, a silent acknowledgement of the dangers that awaited them beyond the safety of the outpost walls. With a nod from Dr. Drake, they set off into the heart of Amazonia. The jungle welcomed them with a cacophony of bird calls and the rhythmic hum of insects. The trail, barely discernible to the untrained eye, wound its way through dense undergrowth and towering trees that seemed to stretch toward the heavens. Hours passed in a blur of relentless heat and humidity. The team pressed onward, guided by Dr. Drake's unerring sense of direction and Elena's intimate knowledge of the terrain. They paused only briefly to drink from canteens and nibble on ration bars, their movements efficient and practiced. As the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the jungle floor, they reached a clearing that marked their first significant discovery. Dr. Drake knelt beside a weathered stone marker partially obscured by tangled vines, her fingers tracing the intricate carvings etched into its surface. "Look at this," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's a map of the stars." Professor Shaw crouched beside her, his eyes narrowing behind his glasses as he studied the markings. "Astrological symbols," he mused aloud. "But why here? What significance does this place hold?" Elena glanced around warily, her machete held at the ready. She had heard tales passed down through generations, stories of lost cities and forbidden treasures hidden deep within the heart of Amazonia. The discovery of the stone marker only added fuel to the legends that whispered through the jungle like the faintest breeze. As they prepared to move on, a sudden rustling in the underbrush drew their attention. Dr. Drake instinctively reached for her pack, her senses on high alert. But before she could react, a shadowy figure emerged from the foliage, a silhouette against the fading light of the setting sun. "Dr. Drake!" Professor Shaw exclaimed, his hand reaching for the revolver holstered at his waist. But it was too late. In the blink of an eye, Dr. Drake vanished into the jungle, her startled cry echoing faintly through the trees. "Cassandra!" Professor Shaw called out, his voice laced with disbelief. Elena sprang into action, her instincts sharpened by years of survival in the unforgiving wilderness. She scanned the surrounding jungle, her eyes searching for any sign of their missing leader. "Over here!" Elena shouted, her voice carrying through the stillness of the clearing. They found Dr. Drake's pack discarded on the ground, its contents scattered haphazardly amidst the undergrowth. The jungle closed in around them, enveloping them in an oppressive silence, broken only by the distant calls of nocturnal creatures. "We need to find her," Professor Shaw insisted, his hands trembling as he gathered Dr. Drake's belongings. Elena nodded grimly, her machete held firmly in her grasp. "We will," she vowed, her voice steady despite the uncertainty that loomed ahead. Together, they plunged deeper into the jungle, their hearts heavy with concern for their missing colleague. The trail ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, but they were determined to unravel the mystery of Dr. Cassandra Drake's vanishing and discover the secrets that lay hidden within the heart of Amazonia. Chapter 2. The Clues Unveiled. The dense jungle closed in around Ryan Sawyer, enveloping him in a world of vibrant greens and echoing bird calls. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the early morning hour, the humidity clinging to him like a second skin. He adjusted the straps of his backpack, feeling the weight of his camera equipment and notebook pressing against his shoulders. Ryan had arrived in Amazonia several days earlier, driven by a relentless curiosity and an insatiable hunger for stories that lay hidden in the far corners of the world. He had been drawn to the region by whispers of a daring expedition led by the renowned archaeologist Dr. Cassandra Drake. Now, standing at the edge of the jungle outpost where Dr. Drake and her team had last been seen, Ryan felt a surge of determination mingled with apprehension. He had spoken with Professor Gabriel Shaw, Dr. Drake's trusted colleague, who had recounted the events leading up to her disappearance, with a mixture of concern and guarded hope. "Follow the trail," Professor Shaw had instructed, handing Ryan a weathered map and a journal filled with Dr. Drake's meticulous notes. "Find out what happened to Cassandra. Bring her back if you can." Ryan nodded solemnly, his mind already racing with questions and possibilities. He had spent the previous days familiarizing himself with the terrain and gathering supplies, preparing for the journey ahead. Now, as he stepped into the jungle, he felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through his veins. The trail was faint but discernible, marked by broken foliage and the occasional footprint left behind by Dr. Drake's expedition. Ryan moved with cautious determination, his senses attuned to the sights and sounds of the jungle around him. He paused occasionally to consult the map, tracing the path outlined by Dr. Drake's hand and the cryptic symbols she had meticulously recorded. Hours passed in a blur of relentless heat and the rhythmic hum of insects. Ryan's determination never wavered as he pushed deeper into the heart of Amazonia. He encountered signs of previous expeditions, discarded ration wrappers, faded markers left by explorers long gone, each hinting at the challenges and dangers that lay ahead. As the sun reached its zenith, Ryan emerged into a clearing that bore the unmistakable signs of recent occupation. Tattered remnants of a makeshift camp lay scattered amidst the undergrowth, a silent testament to the turmoil that had unfolded in this remote corner of the jungle. Ryan knelt beside a weathered stone marker, similar to the one Dr. Drake and her team had discovered days earlier. The symbols etched into its surface were faded but unmistakably ancient, their meaning lost to time. He traced the carvings with his fingertips, his mind racing with the possibilities they hinted at. "Someone was here," Ryan murmured to himself, his voice barely above a whisper. "But where are they now?" A rustling in the underbrush nearby drew Ryan's attention. He glanced up, his senses on high alert as he scanned the perimeter of the clearing. The jungle seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for him to uncover the secrets hidden within its depths. "Hello," Ryan called out tentatively, his voice echoing faintly through the trees. There was no response, only the haunting silence of the jungle closing in around him. Ryan's heart pounded in his chest as he gripped the strap of his backpack tighter, steeling himself for whatever lay ahead. Movement caught his eye, a fleeting shadow darting between the trees at the edge of the clearing. Ryan's instincts kicked in, adrenaline surging as he gave chase, his footsteps echoing through the undergrowth. He emerged into another clearing, larger than the last, where a figure stood with their back to him. Ryan hesitated for a moment, assessing the situation before cautiously approaching. "Wait," he called out, his voice ringing with urgency. The figure turned slowly, revealing a young woman with wild curls of dark hair and eyes that gleamed with a mixture of surprise and suspicion. She held a machete in one hand, its blade gleaming dully in the filtered sunlight. "Elena?" Ryan asked, recognizing her from the descriptions provided by Professor Shaw. "I'm Ryan Sawyer. I'm here to find Dr. Cassandra Drake." Elena regarded him warily, her grip tightening on the machete. "You're a journalist," she observed, her voice cautious but not unkind. Ryan nodded, sensing an opportunity. "Yes, I'm here to uncover the truth," he replied earnestly. "Please, I need your help." Elena studied him for a long moment, weighing his words and the determination in his eyes. Finally, she nodded curtly, sheathing the machete at her side. "Follow me," she said simply, her voice betraying a hint of reluctant acceptance. Together, Ryan and Elena retraced the trail left by Dr. Drake's expedition, each step bringing them closer to the heart of the mystery that had unfolded in Amazonia. The jungle loomed around them, its secrets hidden in the shadows cast by towering trees and tangled vines. As they pressed onward, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that unseen eyes followed their every move. But he pushed aside his unease, focusing instead on the task at hand. Finding Dr. Cassandra Drake and unraveling the clues that would lead them to the truth. Chapter 3. Into the Heart of Darkness. The jungle pulsed with life around them as Ryan Sawyer and Elena Vasquez ventured deeper into the heart of Amazonia. The air was thick with humidity, the earthy scent of damp soil, mingling with the fragrant perfume of exotic blossoms. They moved in silence, their senses heightened by the unknown dangers that lurked within the dense undergrowth. Ryan followed Elena's lead, trusting her intimate knowledge of the terrain to guide them along the faint trail left by Dr. Cassandra Drake's expedition. The path wound through towering trees that reached skyward like ancient sentinels, their gnarled roots gripping the earth with an almost unearthly strength. Hours passed in a blur of relentless heat and a rhythmic chorus of unseen creatures. The trail grew fainter as they pushed deeper into the jungle, each step fraught with anticipation and the weight of unanswered questions. "Do you think we're getting closer?" Ryan asked, breaking the silence that had settled between them. Elena paused, her keen eyes scanning the surrounding foliage for any signs of disturbance. "It's hard to say," she replied carefully. "The jungle has a way of hiding its secrets." Ryan nodded, understanding the truth in her words. He had read enough about Amazonia to know that its labyrinthine depths held mysteries that defied explanation. But he couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of a discovery that would change everything. As they continued their journey, the jungle seemed to close in around them, its dense foliage casting long shadows across their path. The air grew cooler as they entered a canopy of ancient trees whose branches intertwined overhead, creating a natural cathedral of greenery. Suddenly, Elena held up a hand, signaling for Ryan to stop. She crouched low to the ground, her eyes narrowing as she examined a series of tracks embedded in the soft earth. Ryan joined her, his heart racing with excitement as he recognized the distinctive tread of hiking boots. "These are recent," Elena murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "Someone passed through here not long ago." Ryan's pulse quickened as he studied the tracks, his mind racing with possibilities. Could they be closing in on Dr. Cassandra Drake and the answers they sought? He glanced at Elena, a silent acknowledgement passing between them as they silently agreed to press onward. They followed the trail of tracks deeper into the jungle, each step bringing them closer to the heart of the mystery that had drawn them here. The jungle seemed to come alive around them, the faint rustling of leaves and the distant calls of unseen creatures, adding to the sense of anticipation that hung in the air. As they rounded a bend in the trail, they stumbled upon a clearing bathed in the golden light of the setting sun. At its center stood the remnants of a campsite, its fire pit still smoldering faintly amidst scattered belongings and overturned crates. This is it, Ryan breathed, his eyes scanning the campsite for any sign of Dr. Drake or her team. Elena moved with practiced ease, her machete held at the ready as she searched for clues amidst the debris. She knelt beside a torn canvas backpack, carefully sifting through its contents. "Look," she said quietly, holding up a weathered journal that bore Dr. Drake's name embossed on its cover. Ryan's heart leaped with anticipation as he took the journal from Elena's outstretched hand. He flipped through his pages, his eyes scanning the meticulous notes and sketches that detailed Dr. Drake's discoveries and observations. "This could hold the key," Ryan said, his voice filled with a mixture of excitement and determination. "We need to find out what happened here." Together, they pored over the journal, piecing together the events that had unfolded in the days leading up to Dr. Drake's disappearance. The entries spoke of tantalizing clues and unexpected challenges, each page revealing a fragment of the puzzle that had brought them to this remote corner of the world. As darkness descended upon the jungle, they gathered around the dying embers of the campfire, their minds racing with the possibilities that lay ahead. The night was alive with the haunting calls of nocturnal creatures, their cries echoing through the trees like whispers from the past. "We'll continue at first light," Elena said finally, her voice breaking the silence that had settled over them. Ryan nodded, a sense of purpose driving him onward. They had come too far to turn back now, their quest for answers leading them deeper into the heart of darkness that had claimed Dr. Cassandra Drake. As they settled in for the night, Ryan couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and reverence for the jungle that surrounded them. Its ancient mysteries and untamed beauty held them captive, its secrets waiting to be uncovered by those bold enough to seek them out. With Dr. Drake's journal clutched tightly in his hand, Ryan drifted into a restless sleep, his dreams filled with visions of lost civilizations and the promise of discoveries yet to come. Chapter 4. The Local Legend. The jungle embraced Ryan Sawyer and Elena Vasquez with its verdant arms as they ventured deeper into the heart of Amazonia, following in the footsteps of Dr. Cassandra Drake's ill-fated expedition. The air hung heavy with humidity, and the canopy above filtered the sunlight into a dappled mosaic of light and shadow that danced across the forest floor. They moved with cautious determination, their senses keenly attuned to the sights and sounds of the ancient wilderness that enveloped them. In the days since Ryan had arrived in Amazonia, he had grown accustomed to the rhythm of the jungle, guided by Elena's expert knowledge of the terrain. Together, they retraced the path Dr. Drake had taken, piecing together fragments of her journey through clues and remnants left behind in the wilderness. Now, as they pressed onward, a sense of anticipation mingled with trepidation, fueled by the legends and myths that whispered through the dense foliage like ghostly echoes of the past. "Elena, what can you tell me about the lost civilization Dr. Drake was searching for?" Ryan asked, breaking the comfortable silence that had settled between them. Elena glanced at him, her expression a mix of caution and curiosity. "There are many stories," she began slowly, choosing her words with care. "Stories of a people who lived in harmony with the jungle, who possessed knowledge and wisdom beyond our understanding." Ryan nodded thoughtfully, feeling the weight of history and mystery settle around them like a shroud. He had read fragments of local folklore and ancient myths that spoke of a hidden city deep within the jungle, a place rumored to hold untold riches and forbidden knowledge. With each step they took, the allure of those stories grew stronger, pulling him deeper into the mystery that had ensnared Dr. Drake and her team. As they continued their journey, they encountered remnants of past civilizations, crumbling stone structures half hidden by moss and vines, weathered statues standing sentinel amidst the encroaching jungle. Each discovery added to the tapestry of secrets that lay waiting to be unraveled, hinting at the rich history and untold stories that had unfolded in these remote lands. One evening, as they made camp beside a murmuring river that wound its way through the heart of the jungle, Elena shared a story she had heard from her grandmother, a tale passed down through generations of indigenous tribes who had called these lands home. "The lost city is said to be guarded by spirits," Elena explained, her voice soft yet filled with reverence for the ancient lore. "Those who seek its riches must prove themselves worthy. But many who enter its sacred grounds never return." Ryan listened intently, captivated by the richness of the legends that surrounded them. He imagined the lost city hidden amidst the dense foliage, its ancient streets lined with treasures and artifacts that could rewrite history. But amidst the allure, he felt a lingering unease, a sense of caution born from the dangers that surely awaited them as they drew closer to their destination. "We must proceed with caution," Elena warned, her eyes reflecting the flickering light of the campfire as it cast dancing shadows across their faces. "The jungle protects its secrets fiercely." Ryan nodded in agreement, his thoughts turning to Dr. Cassandra Drake and the risks she had taken in her relentless pursuit of knowledge. He wondered what had driven her to embark on this perilous journey, what truths she had hoped to uncover amidst the shadows of the past. As the first light of dawn painted the horizon in hues of gold and amber, Ryan and Elena prepared to resume their journey deeper into the heart of the jungle. They packed their belongings with practiced efficiency, their minds focused on the path that lay ahead and the mysteries that awaited them amidst the ancient trees. "We're getting closer," Ryan remarked, a note of determination ringing in his voice. Elena nodded silently, her gaze fixed on the distant horizon where the jungle seemed to converge with the sky. "Yes," she agreed softly. "But the closer we get, the greater the challenges we will face." With that understanding settling between them like an unspoken vow, they set off once more, their footsteps echoing through the ancient jungle as they followed the trail that would lead them deeper into the heart of the local legend, and closer to uncovering the truth behind Dr. Cassandra Drake's disappearance. Chapter 5. Pursuit and Peril. The jungle hummed with life as Ryan Sawyer and Elena Vasquez pressed deeper into the heart of Amazonia, following the faint trail left by Dr. Cassandra Drake's expedition. The canopy of towering trees above cast a dapple pattern of sunlight and shadow on the forest floor, where their footsteps fell with measured precision. They moved with a sense of purpose, their senses finely attuned to the sights and sounds of the ancient wilderness that surrounded them. In the days since Ryan had arrived in Amazonia, he had grown accustomed to the rhythms of the jungle, guided by Elena's expert knowledge of the terrain. Together, they retraced the path Dr. Drake had taken, piecing together fragments of her journey through clues and remnants left behind in the wilderness. Now, as they pressed onward, a sense of anticipation mingled with trepidation, fueled by the legends and myths that whispered through the dense foliage like ghostly echoes of the past. "Elena, what can you tell me about the lost civilization Dr. Drake was searching for?" Ryan asked, breaking the comfortable silence that had settled between them. Elena glanced at him, her expression a mix of caution and curiosity. "There are many stories," she began slowly, choosing her words with care. "Stories of a people who lived in harmony with the jungle, who possessed knowledge and wisdom beyond our understanding." Ryan nodded thoughtfully, feeling the weight of history and mystery settle around them like a shroud. He had read fragments of local folklore and ancient myths that spoke of a hidden city deep within the jungle, a place rumored to hold untold riches and forbidden knowledge. With each step they took, the allure of those stories grew stronger, pulling him deeper into the mystery that had ensnared Dr. Drake and her team. As they continued their journey, they encountered remnants of past civilizations, crumbling stone structures half hidden by moss and vines, weathered statues standing sentinel amidst the encroaching jungle. Each discovery added to the tapestry of secrets that lay waiting to be unraveled, hinting at the rich history and untold stories that had unfolded in these remote lands. One evening, as they made camp beside a murmuring river that wound its way through the heart of the jungle, Elena shared a story she had heard from her grandmother, a tale passed down through generations of indigenous tribes who had called these lands home. "The lost city is said to be guarded by spirits," Elena explained, her voice soft yet filled with reverence for the ancient lore. "Those who seek its riches must prove themselves worthy. But many who enter its sacred grounds never return." Ryan listened intently, captivated by the richness of the legends that surrounded them. He imagined the lost city hidden amidst the dense foliage, its ancient streets lined with treasures and artifacts that could rewrite history. But amidst the allure, he felt a lingering unease, a sense of caution born from the dangers that surely awaited them as they drew closer to their destination. "We must proceed with caution," Elena warned, her eyes reflecting the flickering light of the campfire as it cast dancing shadows across their faces. "The jungle protects its secrets fiercely." Ryan nodded in agreement, his thoughts turning to Dr. Cassandra Drake and the risks she had taken in her relentless pursuit of knowledge. He wondered what had driven her to embark on this perilous journey, what truths she had hoped to uncover amidst the shadows of the past. As the first light of dawn painted the horizon in hues of gold and amber, Ryan and Elena prepared to resume their journey deeper into the heart of the jungle. They packed their belongings with practiced efficiency, their minds focused on the path that lay ahead and the mysteries that awaited them amidst the ancient trees. "We're getting closer," Ryan remarked, a note of determination ringing in his voice. Elena nodded silently, her gaze fixed on the distant horizon where the jungle seemed to converge with the sky. "Yes," she agreed softly. "But the closer we get, the greater the challenges we will face." With that understanding settling between them like an unspoken vow, they set off once more, their footsteps echoing through the ancient jungle as they followed the trail that would lead them deeper into the heart of the local legend, and closer to uncovering the truth behind Dr. Cassandra Drake's disappearance. Chapter 6. Revelations and Betrayals. The dense jungle enveloped Ryan Sawyer and Elena Vasquez in its humid embrace as they ventured deeper into Amazonia, following the elusive trail left by Dr. Cassandra Drake's expedition. Sunlight filtered through the thick canopy above, casting a mosaic of light and shadow on the forest floor as they moved with cautious determination. Every step carried them closer to the heart of the mystery that had swallowed Dr. Drake whole. Since arriving in Amazonia, Ryan had acclimatized to the unpredictable rhythms of the jungle, guided by Elena's expert knowledge of the terrain. Together, they retraced the path Dr. Drake had taken, piecing together fragments of her journey through clues and remnants left behind in the wilderness. Now, as they pressed onward, a sense of urgency mingled with anticipation, fueled by the mysteries and dangers that lurked within the ancient jungle. "Elena, do you sense we're getting closer?" Ryan asked, breaking the silence that had settled between them. Elena paused, her gaze scanning their surroundings with a practiced eye. "We're making progress," she replied carefully. "But the jungle holds its secrets tightly." Ryan nodded thoughtfully, his mind racing with the possibilities that lay ahead. They had encountered remnants of past civilizations, weathered stone structures and mysterious artifacts that hinted at a rich history waiting to be unearthed. Yet, with each discovery, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of unseen eyes tracking their every move. As they made camp one evening beneath a towering kapok tree, Elena shared stories she had heard from local tribes, tales of a lost city hidden deep within the jungle, guarded by spirits and protected from intruders by ancient curses. The legend spoke of untold riches and forbidden knowledge, drawing adventurers and archaeologists alike into the labyrinthine depths of Amazonia. "The city is said to hold artifacts of immense power," Elena explained, her voice barely above a whisper in the flickering light of the campfire. "But it is also said to be cursed. Those who seek its treasures often meet with misfortune." Ryan listened intently, captivated by the lore that surrounded them. He envisioned the lost city nestled amidst the dense foliage, its secrets waiting to be uncovered by those brave enough to venture into its sacred grounds. But amidst the allure, he felt a gnawing sense of unease, a reminder of the dangers that awaited them as they drew closer to their goal. "We must proceed with caution," Elena warned, her eyes reflecting the flickering light of the fire. There were others who would stop at nothing to claim the city's secrets for themselves. Ryan nodded in agreement, his thoughts turning to the mysterious figures they had encountered on the fringes of their journey, shadowy figures who seemed to vanish into the jungle as quickly as they appeared. He wondered about their motives and their connection to Dr. Drake's disappearance, sensing that they were not the only ones drawn to the allure of the lost city. As dawn broke over the horizon, casting a golden glow across the jungle canopy, Ryan and Elena prepared to resume their journey deeper into the heart of Amazonia. They packed their belongings with a sense of purpose, their minds focused on the path that lay ahead and the revelations that awaited them amidst the ancient trees. "We're getting closer," Ryan remarked, a note of determination in his voice. Elena nodded silently, her gaze fixed on the distant horizon where the jungle seemed to converge with the sky. "Yes," she agreed softly. "But we must be prepared for whatever lies ahead." With that understanding settling between them like an unspoken vow, they set off once more, their footsteps echoing through the ancient jungle as they followed the trail that would lead them deeper into the heart of the mystery surrounding Dr. Cassandra Drake's disappearance. Chapter 7. The Hidden City. The dense canopy of the Amazonian jungle whispered secrets as Ryan Sawyer and Elena Vasquez ventured deeper into his heart. They followed the faint trail left by Dr. Cassandra Drake's expedition, their senses attuned to the sights and sounds of the ancient wilderness that enveloped them. The towering trees cast shifting patterns of light and shadow on the forest floor, where every step brought them closer to the heart of the mystery they sought to unravel. In the days since their arrival in Amazonia, Ryan had grown accustomed to the rhythms of the jungle, guided by Elena's unwavering expertise. Together, they had retraced the path of Dr. Drake's ill-fated expedition, piecing together fragments of her journey through clues and remnants left behind in the wilderness. Now, as they pressed deeper into uncharted territory, a sense of anticipation mingled with trepidation, fueled by the allure of the hidden city that awaited them. "Elena, do you believe we're nearing the lost city?" Ryan asked, his voice barely above a whisper as they paused to rest beneath the shelter of a massive ceiba tree. Elena surveyed their surroundings with a practiced eye, her brow furrowed in concentration. "We're getting closer," she replied quietly. "I can feel it." Ryan nodded, his gaze drawn to the ancient map they had uncovered in Dr. Drake's journal, a map that had guided them through dense jungles and treacherous terrain, leading them ever closer to their goal. He thought of the legends they had encountered along the way, tales of a city hidden from the eyes of the world, guarded by spirits and steeped in ancient mysteries. As they resumed their journey, the jungle seemed to grow denser around them, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and the calls of unseen creatures. They moved with caution, every sense alert to the possibility of danger lurking behind the verdant curtain of foliage. Hours passed in silence, broken only by the rustle of leaves and the occasional cry of a distant bird. Finally, as the sun began its descent towards the horizon, they emerged into a clearing bathed in the golden light of late afternoon. Before them lay the remnants of a forgotten civilization, weathered stone structures half hidden by centuries of growth, their outlines blurred by the passage of time. Ryan and Elena exchanged a wordless glance, their hearts quickening with excitement and awe. They approached the ruins with reverence, their footsteps echoing softly against the ancient stones. Carved symbols adorned the crumbling walls, telling stories of a people long vanished from memory, their achievements preserved in the silent witness of stone. "This is it," Elena murmured, her voice filled with wonder as she traced her fingers over the intricate carvings. "The lost city." Ryan nodded, his gaze sweeping over the scene before them. He marveled at the craftsmanship of the artifacts scattered amidst the ruins, ceramic vessels adorned with intricate patterns, tools fashioned from obsidian and jade, each piece a testament to the ingenuity of a civilization lost to time. As they explored further, they discovered a central plaza dominated by a towering pyramid, its steps worn smooth by the passage of countless feet. At its summit, an altar lay shrouded in mystery, adorned with offerings of flowers and precious stones. They approached cautiously, their senses alive to the presence of something ancient and sacred that lingered in the air. "This is where Dr. Drake must have been heading," Ryan whispered, his voice filled with awe as he surveyed the scene before them. Elena nodded, her eyes scanning the surroundings with a mixture of reverence and caution. "But we're not alone," she murmured, her voice barely audible over the rustling of leaves. Ryan felt a chill run down his spine as he sensed the presence of unseen watchers. He glanced around, catching fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures darting among the trees at the edge of the clearing. They were not alone in their discovery, others had followed in their footsteps, drawn by the lure of the lost city and its secrets. "We have to be careful," Ryan said, his voice tense with urgency. "There are people out there who will stop at nothing to claim what's here." Elena nodded in agreement, her expression grave. "We can't let them get their hands on whatever lies within this place," she replied firmly. With that understanding settling between them like a silent pact, Ryan and Elena prepared to delve deeper into the mysteries of the hidden city. They knew that their journey was far from over, that the revelations waiting to be uncovered could change the course of history itself. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the ancient ruins, Ryan and Elena ventured forth into the heart of the lost city, their footsteps echoing through the silent streets as they pursued the truth behind Dr. Cassandra Drake's disappearance. Chapter 8. Unveiling the Secrets. The hidden city embraced Ryan Sawyer and Elena Vasquez in its enigmatic embrace as they ventured deeper into its ancient streets. The air was thick with the weight of centuries-old mysteries, swirling around them like whispers from a forgotten past. They moved cautiously, their senses alert to every sound and shadow, as they navigated the labyrinthine pathways that wound through the heart of the lost civilization. Since their arrival in Amazonia, Ryan had grown accustomed to the unpredictable rhythms of the jungle, guided by Elena's unwavering expertise. Together, they had retraced the path of Dr. Cassandra Drake's ill-fated expedition, piecing together fragments of her journey through clues and remnants left behind in the wilderness. Now, standing amidst the remnants of a once great civilization, a sense of awe and determination filled them both, mingled with the ever-present awareness of lurking dangers. The central plaza stretched out before them, dominated by a towering pyramid that loomed like a silent sentinel over the surrounding ruins. Carved glyphs adorned the weathered stone, their meanings lost to time, but hinting at the knowledge and wisdom that had once flourished here. Ryan and Elena approached the pyramid with reverence, their footsteps echoing softly against the ancient stones. At the base of the pyramid, they discovered a series of intricate murals depicting scenes of daily life and ceremonial rituals. The vivid colors had faded with age, yet the stories they told spoke volumes about the people who had inhabited this place long ago. Ryan studied the murals intently, his fingers tracing the faded outlines of figures and symbols, trying to decipher the messages left behind by a civilization on the brink of extinction. "Elena, look at this," Ryan called softly, drawing her attention to a particularly well-preserved section of the mural. "It's depicting a ceremony, perhaps a ritual of some kind." Elena joined him, her eyes scanning the ancient artwork with a mix of fascination and scholarly interest. "It could be a depiction of their religious practices," she mused, her voice barely above a whisper. "The rituals they believed would appease the spirits guarding this city." Ryan nodded thoughtfully, his mind racing with the implications of their discovery. Dr. Drake must have been studying these murals, he speculated, glancing around the plaza, as if expecting to find traces of her presence. "She was seeking answers," Elena agreed quietly. "Answers that could shed light on the mysteries that brought her here in the first place." As they ascended the pyramid steps, each carved with intricate glyphs and worn smooth by the passage of time, they approached the summit where an ancient altar awaited them. The altar was a focal point of the pyramid, a place of reverence and perhaps sacrifice, adorned with offerings of flowers and gemstones that glinted in the fading sunlight. "This altar," Ryan murmured, his voice filled with reverence as he approached the ancient stone structure. Elena joined him, her eyes scanning the surroundings with a mixture of caution and curiosity. "It's where they conducted their ceremonies," she explained, her voice soft yet filled with certainty. "Where they communed with their gods and sought guidance for their people." Ryan nodded in understanding, his thoughts racing as he imagined the rituals that had taken place on this very spot centuries ago. He wondered about the significance of the offerings, the precious stones and intricate carvings that adorned the altar, and what they represented to the people who had once called this city home. Suddenly, a rustling sound echoed through the plaza, breaking the solemn silence that had settled over them. Ryan and Elena exchanged a wary glance, their senses on high alert, as they scanned the surrounding shadows for any sign of movement. "We're not alone," Elena whispered, her voice tense with apprehension. Ryan nodded grimly, his hand instinctively reaching for the hilt of his knife. "We need to be cautious," he replied, his voice low yet firm. "There are others who have followed us here." With that understanding settling between them like a silent pact, Ryan and Elena prepared to confront the unknown dangers lurking within the hidden city. They knew that their journey was far from over, that the revelations waiting to be uncovered could change the course of history itself. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the ancient ruins, Ryan and Elena stood united at the summit of the pyramid, their hearts filled with determination as they prepared to face the challenges that lay ahead. Chapter 9. Shadows of the Past. The shadows deepened around Ryan Sawyer and Elena Vasquez as they stood atop the ancient pyramid, the fading light of dusk casting a veil of uncertainty over the hidden city. Below them, the plaza stretched out in silent testament to a civilization lost to time, its secrets beckoning like whispers in the wind. They were not alone in this sacred place. Unseen watchers lurked in the darkness, their presence palpable yet elusive. Since their arrival in Amazonia, Ryan had become attuned to the unpredictable rhythms of the jungle, guided by Elena's unwavering expertise. Together, they had retraced the path of Dr. Cassandra Drake's ill-fated expedition, piecing together fragments of her journey through clues and remnants left behind in the wilderness. Now, standing amidst the remnants of a once great civilization, they were poised on the brink of discovery, yet acutely aware of the dangers that surrounded them. "Elena, we need to stay vigilant," Ryan murmured, his voice barely above a whisper as he scanned the shadows for any sign of movement. Elena nodded solemnly, her gaze flickering between the ancient structures that surrounded them. "There are others who will stop at nothing to claim what lies within this city," she replied, her voice tinged with urgency. Ryan tightened his grip on his knife, his senses on high alert, as he listened to the rustling of leaves and the distant calls of nocturnal creatures. He wondered about the shadowy figures they had glimpsed earlier, mysterious interlopers who seemed to vanish as quickly as they appeared, driven by motives that remained elusive. "We can't let them disrupt our search," Ryan said firmly, his gaze meeting Elena's with unspoken determination. "We need to find out what Dr. Drake discovered and why it led to her disappearance." Elena nodded in agreement, her expression grave. "The answers we seek may lie within the heart of this city," she murmured, her voice filled with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. With that understanding settling between them like a silent pact, Ryan and Elena descended the pyramid steps, their footsteps echoing softly against the ancient stones. They moved with caution, their senses finely attuned to the mysteries that awaited them in the darkened corridors and hidden chambers of the city. As they explored further, they discovered a network of interconnected buildings and passageways, each holding clues to the city's past and the fate of its inhabitants. They found workshops where skilled artisans had crafted intricate pottery and jewelry, their creations a testament to the craftsmanship of a bygone era. In ceremonial chambers adorned with murals and sculptures, they uncovered glimpses of rituals and beliefs that had shaped the lives of the city's inhabitants. This city was more than just a settlement, Elena remarked softly as they studied a mural depicting a procession of figures adorned with feathers and elaborate headdresses. It was a center of culture and spirituality. Ryan nodded in agreement, his eyes lingering on the images that seemed to come alive under the flickering light of their torches. Dr. Drake must have been drawn to this place for its historical significance, he speculated, piecing together fragments of the puzzle that had brought them here. As they ventured deeper into the heart of the city, they discovered a chamber unlike any they had seen before, a chamber filled with artifacts of immense beauty and significance. Golden figurines and jewel-encrusted masks lay scattered amidst piles of weathered manuscripts and delicate textiles, each piece a treasure trove of history waiting to be uncovered. "This is it," Ryan breathed, his voice filled with awe as he surveyed the chamber's contents. "This is what Dr. Drake sacrificed everything to find." Elena nodded silently, her fingers tracing the intricate patterns on a ceremonial mask. But why did it lead to her disappearance? She wondered aloud, her voice tinged with concern. Before Ryan could respond, a shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, startling them both. They whirled around, their hearts pounding as they faced the intruder who had breached the sanctity of the chamber. It was one of the mysterious figures they had glimpsed earlier, a man clad in rugged expedition gear, his eyes glittering with a mix of determination and greed. "You shouldn't have come here," the man said, his voice low yet filled with menace. "This city belongs to those who are willing to do whatever it takes to claim its secrets." Ryan and Elena exchanged a tense glance, their hands instinctively reaching for their weapons, as they prepared to confront the intruder, who threatened to unravel everything they had worked so hard to uncover. Chapter 10. The Price of Knowledge. The chamber echoed with tension as Ryan Sawyer and Elena Vasquez faced off against the intruder who had disrupted their quest for answers. The air crackled with uncertainty, each heartbeat echoing like a drumbeat in the silence that stretched between them. The man before them exuded an air of confidence mixed with desperation, his eyes darting between Ryan and Elena, as if weighing his next move. "We won't let you take what belongs to this city," Ryan said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. The intruder sneered, his hand tightening around the hilt of his own weapon. "You think you can stop me?" he retorted, his voice a low growl. "I've come too far to leave empty-handed." Elena stepped forward, her expression a mix of determination and caution. "We're not here to fight," she stated firmly. "But we won't let you desecrate this place for your own gain." The man's eyes narrowed, calculating his options as he glanced around the chamber. Dr. Drake made a mistake coming here, he muttered, more to himself than to Ryan and Elena. But her mistake is my opportunity. With lightning speed, he lunged forward, his weapon raised in a threatening arc. Ryan and Elena reacted in unison, their movements synchronized by months of navigating the treacherous jungles and deciphering ancient clues. Ryan deflected the man's strike, his knife meeting the intruder's weapon with a clang of metal against metal. Meanwhile, Elena circled around, positioning herself strategically to gain the upper hand. The struggle was brief but intense, each combatant pushing their skills to the limit in the confined space of the chamber. With a swift and decisive maneuver, Ryan disarmed the intruder, sending his weapon clattering to the stone floor. Elena moved swiftly to restrain him, her expertise in hand-to-hand combat evident as she pinned him down with practiced precision. "Who are you working for?" Ryan demanded, his voice edged with urgency as he held the man firmly in place. The intruder struggled against Elena's grip, his eyes blazing with defiance. "It doesn't matter," he spat, his voice tinged with bitterness. "You can't stop what's already been set in motion." Ryan exchanged a glance with Elena, their unspoken communication conveying a shared determination to protect the sanctity of the city and uncover the truth that had drawn them here. They knew that their journey had brought them to a pivotal moment, a moment where the choices they made would shape not only their own fates, but the fate of the hidden city and its ancient secrets. "We need to find out what he knows," Elena said quietly, her voice cutting through the tension that hung in the air. Ryan nodded in agreement, his gaze steady as he turned back to the intruder. "Tell us everything," he urged, his tone firm yet tinged with empathy. "Help us understand why this city is so important." The man hesitated, his gaze flickering between Ryan and Elena, as if weighing his options. Finally, with a resigned sigh, he began to speak, unraveling a tale of ambition, betrayal, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge that had driven him to this remote corner of the world. As he spoke, Ryan and Elena pieced together the puzzle that had eluded them for so long, a puzzle that centered on the city's unique place in history, its role in ancient rituals and beliefs, and the potential power contained within its artifacts. They listened intently, their minds racing with the implications of what they were learning, each revelation bringing them closer to understanding the truth behind Dr. Cassandra Drake's disappearance. Hours passed as the intruder's story unfolded, weaving a tapestry of intrigue and danger that stretched from the jungles of Amazonia to the corridors of academic institutions and beyond. Through it all, Ryan and Elena remained steadfast in their resolve, determined to protect the city's secrets from those who sought to exploit them for personal gain. Finally, as the first light of dawn painted the chamber in a soft golden hue, the intruder fell silent, his words spent. Ryan and Elena exchanged a solemn glance, their thoughts turning to the next steps in their journey to uncovering the remaining mysteries that awaited them and ensuring that the hidden city remained safe from harm. "We're not finished yet," Ryan said quietly, his voice filled with determination as he turned to Elena. Elena nodded in agreement, her expression reflecting the resolve that burned brightly within her. "There's still much we need to uncover," she replied, her voice steady despite the exhaustion that weighed on her. With that understanding settling between them like a silent vow, Ryan and Elena prepared to continue their exploration of the hidden city, their footsteps echoing through the ancient corridors as they moved forward into the unknown. They knew that their journey was far from over, that the challenges they faced would test their courage and resolve, but they were united in their quest for knowledge and justice. As they disappeared into the labyrinthine depths of the city, the secrets of the past whispered around them, promising answers to questions that had haunted them since they first set foot in Amazonia. Together, Ryan Sawyer and Elena Vasquez embarked on the next chapter of their adventure, ready to confront whatever challenges lay ahead in their pursuit of the truth.